Welcome YouTube viewer, thanks for checking out the video today. We're going to look at the cryptocurrency news and some charts, so let's jump right in. First news story that I have for you here is out of Scandinavia. We have the Nordea Bank forbidding its workers from owning Bitcoin. So if they were able to pass this legislation, it's going to cause 31,500 people to divest themselves from any Bitcoin holdings as soon as February 28th. Now, there is a little bit of kickback from the workers' rights. They're threatening legal action. They're saying they would consider it a legal offense against the individual, and that in Denmark there is still a degree of freedom to invest if it is not a risk to the company you're employed in. So we'll see how that plays out. Not really sure. I think it's still bringing awareness to cryptocurrencies. We can see now in Scandinavia it's just becoming some conversation. Now the bank is defending itself, saying that it's an unregulated market, and any participation in that would be criminal or unethical. So back to the regulations being a good thing in time. That these kind of accusations may be neutralized to a point. So we'll see how that really plays out. Not sure quite yet. But another interesting bit from this news story here is apparently the Bitcoin Swiss takeover of a major Danish sports team means now that the country has its own Bitcoin arena, and they're talking about the players could be compensated with Bitcoin, as the first sport professionals ever. So that's interesting. While we're gonna maybe lose some users of the cryptocurrency here, it's just interesting to see what may be added. And this bit of news down here with the sports teams being compensated with Bitcoin. So. Again, I think overall this story is just really more about awareness being, further kind of developing in more and more countries as every day kind of goes by. So now, Scandinavia kind of becoming part of the conversation. So the next story here is Goldman Sachs. There's two stories here. Basically, Goldman Sachs is denying that there's going to be a trading desk. They basically say down here that they're just going to, service their futures clients. If that's what they want to do, they'll be there for them for clearing their futures trades. So there's not a dedicated desk, but they're doing what their clients ask for. Goldman did also have an issue or a warning issued about Bitcoin and Ethereum, saying that with the recent run up of the past year, it's pushed it into bubble territory. Comparing it to the tulip craze. So, again, overall, some conversation coming out of this large institute, Goldman Sachs. Even though it's not necessarily the most positive information, they're still kind of helping spread the dialogue to an extent on the world stage. So, again, I think, any news is good news sometimes. More kind of in the realm of regulation here, and just kind of information spreading or the topic spreading. Now they're over half of the Russians know about Bitcoin, they're saying, and is the government ready to regulate? Did see another news story that was on the last video we did, how Putin was even kind of saying it may be time for some oversight on the cryptocurrency. So again, we'll see how that ends up playing out, but overall the word is spreading. Cryptocurrencies continue to be a topic of conversation in more and more countries by the day. Along with that Russian news, there's also a bill that's been drafted that the government officials in Russia must declare their crypto assets. This is in the same vein as recently where you had South Korean officials dumping their crypto assets before some big news was announced, and thus kind of suggesting insider trading to an extent. So this is really good news in my opinion, that it's leveling the playing field with the government officials and just kind of making things a lot more fair. So we can see here how regulation is actually going to be a benefit. Moving back to that Scandinavian story, more regulation, maybe we wouldn't have these banks telling their employees they can't participate. So while regulation is going to slow things down in ways, it's ultimately going to improve and strengthen the overall economy of cryptocurrencies, in my opinion. More information about regulation. This is kind of a really tough kick against cryptocurrency. At the recent annual Davos event, we had these two people, Stiglitz, or these two entities, Stiglitz and the Swiss bank, basically saying they want to regulate cryptocurrencies out of existence. Here we see this highlight quote, we have a good medium of exchange called the dollar. We can trade in that. Why do people want Bitcoin? For secrecy. So yeah, they're trying to really, give Bitcoin a bad look, and or cryptocurrencies give it them the bad look that they're used for illicit purposes. So that's just kind of FUD, I guess, in a way. And hopefully, again, this is really just bringing the conversation to more people, more eyes getting exposed to cryptocurrency, and hopefully they do their own research and see that some of these claims aren't necessarily so accurate, and that there's more purpose than just for secrecy. While Bitcoin does have a strong, or cryptocurrencies do have a big push for secrecy, there's more to it than that. So a little bit of a kind of their own spin on things for their benefit, it seems. So again, you have these large entities discussing it, and I think ultimately that's back to the any news is good news kind of thing. Moving on to another story here, South Korea making good on their promise. They have sent out $130,000 in fines to some of the cryptocurrency exchanges in the country. Basically, they, for different things that they were in violation of, mainly being that they failed to delete users' data after they had stopped using the service for over a year, and that some of the users' data was being stored outside of the country. So we can see here a few of the companies that were hit. They got charged with anywhere from $9,000 to $14,000 fines each. So again, these companies are going to have to, be playing by the rules and, report and make sure they're doing things on the up and up. So ultimately, that should be a good thing. This regulation should benefit the average user and kind of protecting them from, any kind of illicit activity. So that's, again, out of Korea or South Korea, I think a more positive bit of news than not. And then here's a little bit of negative news for Bitcoin itself. Payment processor Stripe is putting an end to using Bitcoin for their processing. They implemented it back in 2015, and so now, just 3 years later, they're getting rid of it. Basically saying that they see decrease in use on it, and that it's due to the fees and the wait time. So, that is a known fact that Bitcoin, it's a congestion network, and it is not that fast. There's better alternatives, and that's the good side of this story, is that they are still positive or optimistic about cryptocurrencies overall. And they're talking about maybe using something like stellar lumens in the future. So while Bitcoin may be failing at something, we can see how other technologies will improve and create a better solution than what may be already there. And the competition, a free market in a sense, should provide further development and improvement overall in the technology. So ultimately here it kind of states that there is a need for this technology, where there is a use case for this technology and payment processing and other avenues as well. Another story here to kind of coincide with that is you have Ripple. They have two more companies signing on with them. Telecom provider IDT and payment service group Mercury are basically doing a pilot program with Ripple on top of MoneyGram, who announced their relationship just recently. So, again, in the world of payment processing and exchanging information or money for that matter, it's, the technology is proving itself as having use case. So, we should only see more development and more improvement as other coins and technology, improve upon what we currently have and, make it a more usable and reasonable way of exchanging that data. So that's, I think, good news. Another quick story here. Volkswagen chief is joining IOTA. Now, IOTA's had some pretty bad press in the last few days. They got hacked. There's a Twitter user, pretty big personality out there that's kind of going at them, saying they're worth nothing pretty much, that their technology is useless. But here we see the chief digital officer of Volkswagen, Johan Jungwirth. He's joining their supervisory board and saying that IOTA allows connected devices to digitally send money to each other in the form of micropayments, and it's making itself useful for the IoT. So, I kind of like IOTA's concept, the Tangle network, and connecting hardware devices, and hopefully with this partnership or this entity coming along with the company, they can help get back on the right track and fix some of the issues that they've been exposed to having with some of their tech. So we'll see how that plays out here in the next weeks, months, years. And lastly here, Bitcoin demand at 10K, hinting a move at higher, or hints a move higher. This will kind of help segue right into our charts. So I agree with that, and it's something I expected to see to a point. So we'll go ahead and take a look right now at the Bitcoin chart. Bitcoin's up, around 3% today, sometimes around 4%. So a pretty good day for the cryptocurrencies. Average day, we'll say. There's some coins that are really doing well, like Steam is up 30-40% today. Steam bucks are also up about 10 or 15% at points today. And another good rise was also in Lumens, about 15% up, maybe on the back of that Stripe story of how it may be replacing Bitcoin. But looking at just Bitcoin here, to kind of reinforce what was said in my last video, was watching this level here on that big dip. Everyone's kind of scared. We really dropped down to about like 9,000. My take was that as long as we could hold this level, this 30-period moving average, that it would remain bullish. Now, quickly want to disclaim, I'm not giving any financial advice. This is really just my kind of interpretation of what I see. Please do your own research. This is for information, education, and entertainment purposes only. So with that being said, I'll give you my rundown of what I see here, what I expect to happen, a few different scenarios. So there's one of three scenarios. We're going to either move higher, we're going to move sideways, or we're going to drop below. And if we drop below this moving average, we could really see some some further declining, and really anything's possible. This price could go into a bear mode and get back to levels of $2,000 quite possibly. I mean, it was only about a year ago, or less than a year ago, that it was at that level. So we've got to be prepared for anything. Do I think that's going to happen? I don't know. No one really knows. So really, what I'm trying to get across is just be prepared. And so if we do see this close, and it's got to actually close the week below that level, this average level, then that's when we start to really watch what's going on. Why I think that may be significant is because it really hasn't closed below that level in a long time. The last time it was below that level was back in 2015, September, and it was down there for a while, just kind of consolidating. And once it moved up, it never got below that level with a close. I mean, it dipped below and bounced quickly and held that level, but it never really closed below that average level. So we'll be watching that. If it does close below that, I think there is a strong case for some bearish trend. But again, the other possibility is some sideways movement for some time. So I'm not trying to be in a rush right now and make any big decisions, just letting this play out. But as it stands right now, the chart looks pretty good here midweek. If it can hold this pattern and print this candle as it is, this would be kind of considered a hammer, would suggest a reversal in the trend here. And would really take for me to really be a believer, kind of getting above this wick of this recent or this current candle, and closing above that would be very good. So if we could get that, that may be the reversal that we're looking for, and looking for higher gains. If this does really hold and bounce, and we can look at past examples of when it bounced, there should be quite a bit of movement in store for this. So to be in a rush and to take a position right now, I don't think it's too necessary. I do think it's a bit of a different environment with all the exposure Bitcoin has, everyone being very aware of it at this point, opposed to these dips back here when it wasn't quite mainstream news the way it is today. So be aware of that. So those are the few things I'm watching for, just kind of taking things slow right now and just letting it develop and not trying to make any quick decisions at this time. Now, there's a lot of other coins out there that you may be able to play with, apply this average to, and do some trading in between. But right now, just really trying to watch Bitcoins. I think it's kind of determining where everyone's going more than not currently. So thank you guys for checking out this video. Let us know in the comments section what you do like, what you don't like, anything you disagree with or agree with. Give it a thumbs up, thumbs down, comment, like, subscribe, share, turn on notifications so you get the updates on when we put out these videos. Again, give us feedback. Let us know what you want to see more of, what we can do to improve the channel and make it more beneficial for you and your daily viewing. So thanks again for checking out the video, and we hope to see you on the next one. Take care.